Okay, I'm sorry I kept you waiting tonight. We are back set up at our flagship station here at the Avoda Zara Base Zev of Fairways Lakewood. And we are sponsored, as always, by Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Siyam Ben Yaakov Zev, and for a great shidduch for Chayat Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We are sponsored, the Refuah Shalema for Toiba Reiza Bas Hinda by A.B. Spry, and for a great civic for their daughter and grandchildren, for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel Ben Beila Shendel Rivka, by Baruch Ian Lila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba Esther Bas Yona, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKoyen, and for Refuah Shalema of Liba Bas Anya. We are sponsored by Eddie Chazan for the safety of Klal Yisrael, and the Nitzachon of the IDF and their safety, by Menachem Yemansky, with all those that are looking for a zivik should find it quickly and easily. We are starting by the new Mishnah on Daf Ayin Amid Beis, Boleshes, Shenichnes La'ir, soldiers that enter a city. They're called boleshes. The word boleshes means to search, because they usually come and search the houses for some, good schayra. B'shah shalom, if it's a time of peace, then chavias psuchas asurais, because you have to be concerned that they did nisach. Stumais, those that are sealed mutaras, are permitted. B'shas milchama, but during a time of battle, elu ve'elu mutaras, they are preoccupied with their battle, and therefore both are mutar lefi she'ein pnai l'nasech. They don't have time to get involved in libations. They don't have the mindset of a yid that at a time of battle, adarabah, that's when you should be doing worship. They don't have the head to be occupied in Nisuch, and therefore in a time of battle you don't have to worry.
They're still going to take a drink.
What?
They're still going to take a drink.
No, but here we mean that it's not asba no. Now, asks the Gemara, you're telling me that in the time of battle they're preoccupied? Viramini, Ir shekavshu karkaim, a city that is conquered by a marauding band, by an army that comes in, kol kohanos shebesaycha psulos. All kahanos, all women that are married to a kohen, it's a very interesting lashon, kahanos. They don't have to be kahanos. They could be a Yisraelis. But if they're married to a kohen cannot continue living with his wife even if she was raped, even if she was violated. So therefore, kol kohanos, all women that are married to a kohen, psulos, they're forbidden to their husbands. So you see that although they are occupied in active battle, that's a karkaim, it's an active battle, they still have time to sleep with women. Says Gemara, yeah. The Yetzer Hara of sleeping with women is bigger than the Yetzer Hara of Avoda Zara. Ramari says, L'nasach ein pnai. They don't have the head to do nisach. Lival, to sleep with a woman, yesh pnai. For that they always make time. They always make time for promiscuity, for lust. And you should know that we know about these things. We know about things that are addictive, and then we know about things that are super addictive. I'm going to tell you a fact that is frightening. There are people that were able to withstand smoking on Shabbos. Now, smoking is very addictive. And, I have people that leave stuff in my mailbox so that right after Shabbos, they should be able to take a smoke. Leave it in my mailbox. But there are people that cannot avoid using the phone. Now, not amongst our people, but there are the youth. There are those that are so addicted to the phone that they can't do without the phone. They could maybe hold off from cigarettes. There is in texting, there is a shortcut. GS is Good Shabbos. There are people that can't help but text. It's a very powerful addiction. And we have to know it for ourselves, because it robs us. It's interesting. My wife says that I don't always buy magazines, but last Shabbos I bought both the Ami and the Mishpacha because I wanted to read everything they wrote about Rabbi Wein. Everything. And I told her it right away was worth it just for the words of eulogy somebody wrote in his article, that when he visited Rabbi Wein towards the end of his life, he saw a sight that you usually don't see nowadays. He saw a man deep in thought, actually thinking. People aren't deep in thought anymore. People forgot completely how to think. Today.
Henry Ford said,
Yeah?
thinking is the hardest job known to man, which explains why so few engage in it.
And that was how many years ago?
That was in the 40s.
That was in the 40s.
Almost 100 years.
There was no phone.
There weren't as many distractions.
There was no phone. David, how are you? You brought back the thing?
Can I go inside? Can I go upstairs?
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's good. It's fixed.
Good. You just plug it in.
I'll plug it in, yeah.
David, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
So anyway,
When he's not cooking, you know that.
what did you... What,
When he's not thinking.
Harry, you're deep in
no. We're up to the new Mishnah, the first Mishnah, 3 lines from the top on Ayin Aleph from Ad Aleph. Learning is thinking. But people, when I talk about thinking, I talk about a certain person that has time and chooses to use that time to think.
Original thought.
Now, it used to be that people would think in the car. Then came along the radio. And instead they opened up a baseball game. Or they listened to the news, or they listened to the trash talk show. Huge waste of time. Huge waste of time. Just to be able to sit and I'm not even talking about original thought. There's also hisbaididus. The item hisbaididus means to think about our connection with Hashem. You should know the women are very trained nowadays in hisbaididus. There are many wonderful workshops for women where they're given exercises of hisbaididus. The men don't have much of this. You look at Bruce Eisenberg. There's a man that thinks, right? Right, Bruce? He's thinking about how often he's going to come to the shir in Tufshin Pei Hey. I know. It's good to think about it. Rabbi say, while I'm prattling away, I noticed that we have 34 Zoomers already. So it's high time that I be a mensch and welcome in Mo Kushner. Great to have you, Mo. Saba, Mel Zachter, back. Good to have you. Michal, Shimon Klein, Dr. Black, the intrepid Eddie Chazan, Marshall Castle, Mark Frankel. Thoughts of missing the shir are in the past. Chaim Kramer, Yaakov Warman, Ruvain Pollack, A.B. Spry, Menachem Yabansky, Shalom Fogel, Yitzi Fuchs, Yisrael Fisher, Nachman Chapler, and Reb Schmidt. It's great to have you. Shalom Aleichem. Barry Cement, Yitzi Muller, Bruce Eisenberg, Rebellia Yaffe, Shimon Deer, Stephen Holtzman, I guess that's a Vigdor, Moshe Lehman, I'm not sure who that is. Danny Vogel is back. Whoa, that's great. What?
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. Who is Avigi? Who is that? Shelley Zeitlin, Rabbi Kranz, Ilya Shutman, Avram Zepkowitz. I think it's Avigdor. And here in Shul we have wonderfully Gedalia Engel, Michal Avram, and Ruvain Shanit. So if we give those three to Marshall, he's holding at 37. And if you count me, it's 38. So you got 12 more to the promised land. Come on, get on the phone. Call your brothers, your aunts, your uncles. Okay. He sounds like he's guzzling bourbon already. Says the Gemara. Says the Mishnah. Ha'omnin shel Yisrael shesholach lahem oivik chavim chavya shel yayin b'scharan. Here we have workmen. This is something that would happen to Eddie. Eddie is doing some work, and the pagan that he's working for sends him a barrel of yayin esser for his payment. So Eddie knows that he can't take yayin esser. It's asabana. Muta loy maloi. He could tell him, "Tein lanu es dameh. I don't want this. Give me instead its value." However, Mishenichnas el Reshusan, if Eddie brings it into his house, then it's too late. It becomes Eddie's. And then if he would switch it, he's benefiting from the Yain Esach, and then it's Aser. Amar Rav Yudah, Amar Rav, Mutter loimer lo'evik kechavim. A person could tell a guy, Seva hafeis alai menas ad melech. Go and appease and exonerate and fulfill my obligation to the king's tithe. The king had a tax on the crops and on the animals, and each person had to pay it. And Eddie told the guy to take care of his obligation, and he'll then pay the guy. So he's allowed to do this even if the guy pays it with Yayin Esach, because Eddie didn't ask him to pay with Yayin Esach. He could pay with whatever he wants. Meisvei, so the Gemara says, but we learned not that way. We learned Al Yomer Adam Lo'evik Kechavim Ol Tachtai Lo'otzer. Eddie can't tell a pagan that you should go in my stead to the monarch. The Oitzer is the controller. You should go in my stead and take care of my obligations to the monarch. So you see, you're not allowed to do that. Amalei Rav, Ol Tachtai Lo'otzer Kamrat. Where Eddie says you should go in my stead, that means he's representing Eddie. And that means when he gives the Yayin Esach, it says if Eddie is giving the Yayin Esach. That you can't do. What Eddie could do, as it says over there, he could say, Malteini min ha'itzer, save me from the tax. In other words, that way, just take care of my responsibility. I'll take. He's not saying that he should be in Eddie's footsteps. He's not saying that. He's just saying, take care of my responsibility. He could have taken care of the responsibility with fruit, with money, with animals, and therefore, if the guy gave Yayin Esef that he did on his own, that's okay. Now, now this next, we have to know that let's pick a person here. So hard to pick. Okay, Marshall. So Marshall is selling wine to a guy. Now, Marshall has to be careful that the wine doesn't become Yayin Nesech while it's still in Marshall's possession. Because if the wine becomes Yayin Nesech while it's still in Marshall's possession, then he can't take money for it. Because he's not allowed to benefit from Yayin Nesech. So, if Marshall sells his wine to a guy, Pasak ad sheloi modad, if Marshall makes up a price, it's $36 a gallon. Before the guy picks it up to measure it, then Damav Mutarin, the money that he's paid with it, the money that Ike, the guy, pays Marshall is permitted. Now let's walk it through. Ike says, I want to buy some wine. So Marshall says, it's $36 a gallon. So Ike picks up the wine to pour it in the measuring vessels. As soon as Ike picks up the wine, he acquires it with what the Gemara calls Mashicha. Actually, it means Hagvah. When it says Mashicha, it means, by taking it into his possession. But by something light, like wine, it's Hagvah. So once he picks it up, he acquires it. Now, since he knows the price, he's soymech das to acquire it with the Hagvah, because he knows how much he's paying for it. He picks it up, so that, don't interrupt me, he picks it up, and therefore when he pours it, and is menasech it, it's already his. So then, Marshall is not getting money for Yayin Nesach, because it became Nesach when it was already Ike's. So therefore, Pasak actually Modat, if he made up the price before the guy measured it out, Damav Mutar. But Modat actually Pasak, but if he measured it before Marshall gives him a price, no good. If he measured it before Marshall gave him a price, he's not coin it with Hagvah. Because he's not Saimech Das to make a kinyan on it, because maybe Marshall is going to ask him $100 for a gallon. He doesn't want it for $100 a gallon. So his Hagvah is not yet a kinyan. So then when the guy picks it up and pours it, it's still Marshall's. It becomes Yayin Nesach, and then he can't take money for it, because for Yayin Nesach he can't take money.
But even if he made up a price, what happens with what's left in the barrel? If it's not a full gallon, if he has half a gallon left, what happens to that half gallon?
That's not a problem, because what was left in the barrel, he wasn't menasech. It was only menasech what he poured into the barrel. So now the Gemara is going to explain this in now the Gemara is going to explain this in greater detail. Amar Ameimer, Meshicha, we need to get everybody to mute, please. So Amar Ameimer, Meshicha ba'ovid kechavim kaina. When a guy lifts something up, if it's light, if it's heavy, when he pulls it, it's a kinyan. You don't need money. Teda, Dahani Parsoi, the Persians, Mishadre Pardashne Lahadadi, they send presents one to another. Now there's no kesef over there because it's a present. V'loi hadrebu, and they don't take it back. So you see that they acquire it when they pick up the present. Ravashi says that's no raya. Picking it up by a guy is not kind. And that which they don't take back gifts, that's the Ramais Rucha the Nikitnalu, because their pride doesn't let them renege on a gift. It's beneath their dignity to be an Indian giver. So Amar Ravashi says, Mina Aminala, why do I say that by a guy, a kinyan of agva is not kaina? Mida Amalhu Rav, Lahano Savoitsu. These are funny words, these words. Mida Amalhu Rav, Lahano Savoitsu. Rav told Jewish vintners, Jewish wine sellers, when you measure out wine to the guy, first take money from them, so then it becomes the guy's wine, and only then measure it out to them. Because the Eloi Nikite Bahadayu Zuze, and if they don't, not because, if they don't have money, let's say they're not carrying money, or Isfinu, lend them the money, V'hodar Shekilu Minayu, and then take it from them. So this way they acquire the wine before you pour it into their vessel. Because the Eloi of Disuhachi, if you don't do this, when it becomes Yayin Esech, the wine is still yours. And if it's still going to be yours, then you're not going to be able to take payment from them, because then you're taking payment for Yayin Esech. When you do take payment, however, so this is good if you hold. We're bringing in our 37th Zoomer now. This is good if you hold that Hagva, or what we call here Mashicha, is not kaina. But the Isol Kedaitach Mashicha Ba'avid Kechavim kaina. But if you're going to hold that when the guy picks it up, he's kainet, so then Midamoshcha Ovid Kechavim Kanya Yayin. He Kanya, when he takes it, he's kainet. Yayin Nesach Lo Yahave, it's not Yayin Nesach until he touches it. Yayin Nesach Lo Yahave Adinogabeh. Says the Gemara, yeah, that would be good. Idika Kayil V'rami Lamana de Yisrael. If he measures it and it's put into the Yid's measuring vessel, then Hachanami, then it's no problem. Because there, you're right. When the guy picks it up, it becomes his. It doesn't become Yayin Nesech until he touches it. But Loit Tzricha, the Kakayel V'rami Lamana Doive Kechavim. Here it's talking about where he measures it into the keli of the guy. And he measures it into the keli of the guy. There's some residual wine in the keli of the guy, and therefore it becomes yayin nezach. And if he didn't pay for it, so then it becomes yayin nezach while it's still in the possession of the yid. Says, well, that's not so simple. So, even so, kimata la'avira damana, when it reaches the ear space of the keli, kanya, the guy acquires it. Yayin nesach lo have, it doesn't become yayin nesach until it reaches the bottom of the keli where there's some residual wine. Are you going to tell me it's a problem because when the yid pours into the wine into the vessel, the connection of the flow that touches the bottom of the vessel to the yid's keli makes a connection which makes it yayin nezach? Shmami no needs a chiber? Says Malay, no. If the guy is holding the keli in his hand and he's lifting it up, so Hachanami, you'd be right that he acquires it as soon as it comes into the airspace of the keli, and it doesn't become yayin nezach until it touches the bottom. But like tzricha de monach a'ara, it's on the ground. And when it's on the ground, he doesn't acquire it. He says to him, well, why not? V'tikna like kelav. Let him acquire it because it enters into the airspace of his utensil. Are you going to say that this is a proof that you can't acquire with your utensil when you're in the rishus of the lekeach? The guy is in the rishus of the yid. Shmat mina, you're going to say kelev shalokeach, the kelev of the buyer, b'rishus meicha, when you're in the property of the seller, loikano lokeach. Says Gemara, la'aylam ema loikano lokeach. Really, the guy acquires it. And therefore, once it enters the airspace, it would be his. And then when it touches the residual wine on the bottom, it's already the guy's, and it wouldn't be a problem. Why did he say that you have to buy it first? You have to have him pay for it first. The ika keves yayin apume de kuzanta. Here we're talking about where there is a lip on the top of the barrel that the wine passes through, which is on top of the keli. It didn't get into the inside of the keli yet. And that lip has residual yayin on the lip. The kama insichle, says the Gemara. But even then, ukaman, who would this be going like? The like Reb Shimon Gamliel. The Reb Shimon Gamliel, if it's going according to Reb Shimon Gamliel, it wouldn't really make a difference, because if it gets mixed up with a little drop of the yayin nezach, you're allowed to sell the full amount of wine except for that little drop. The Reb Shimon Gamliel, except for that little drop that's at the top. Says Gemara, yeah, but this is Rav we're talking about. Remember, we're explaining Rav. Midei hutaima el Rav. Ha'amar Rav halacha Reb Shimon Gamliel. The law is like Reb Shimon Gamliel by chavyas bechavyas. That's by a barrel that gets mixed up with another barrel. So if you have one barrel of yayin nezach that gets mixed up with 100 barrels of regular wine, all you have to do is throw one barrel's worth of wine into the Yam HaMelech. Avalo yayin b'yayin, but when it gets mixed up with the wine itself, it all becomes aser. So the Gemara says, Meisvei, here now, what the Gemara is doing now is going to attack the question of whether Hagva, what the Gemara calls Mashiach, but it means lifting up the wine, does that acquire by a guy? Meisvei. Avoikeach grutois. We had this idea before. Marshall is a speculator, and he buys scrap metal, hoping that he'll get some matzias, you know. So avoikeach grutois, if Marshall buys scrap metal from a pagan, and he finds in it crosses, silver crosses. So if before he gave the money, Marshall picked it up, Yarzer. But if he already gave the money, he picked it up, then Yoylach Liyam HaMelech. But if Mashiach works with a guy, then even if he didn't give the money, why could he return it? Even if he didn't get the money, since he picked it up, it should be his, and once it's his, he can't return it, because once it's his, he's not allowed to benefit from Avoda Zara. Amar Abaya, says the Gemara, Mishum de Mirze Kimekach Tais. The reason why, if he didn't give the money, he's allowed to return it, and here we're going to change the girsa. It's not Mishum de Mirze Kimekach Tais, but there's a girsa that it is a Mekach Tais. Let me just check that. I think the Diktuke Seifrim makes that change in girsa. Don't look now, Rabbi Say, but we got 38 Zoomers over here. Wow. It's really something. 38 Zoomers over here. Oh, Irving is here. 38 Zoomers.
Half a case.
Huh?
I'll take half a case.
You won't get a drop until we have 50. You won't even get a thimbleful until we get 50. You're lucky I didn't make it 60 already. You're so tardy and negligent.
Really? I didn't start 20 minutes late today.
The reason why I started 20 minutes late is in order to see if I could gather some people outside. I have to do your work, Marshall. And I'm not getting bourbon. I'm giving the bourbon.
Eddie, help me.
You see what Marshall said? Marshall promises me the bourbon now. So anyway, let me just get the girsa here. The Torah's Chaim. We are holding on Daf Ayin Aleph Amid Beis, and we are holding about midway down the Amid. And we're holding by Amar Abaya. Amar Abaya Mishum, and here the Torah's Chaim changes it, Mishum de Ika Mekach Tois, because Marshall didn't want crosses, so it's a Mekach Tois. So the Gemara says, so I don't understand. Then even if he paid money, so what? He didn't want crosses. Amarava Reisha Mekach Tois, Seifa La Mekach Tois. El Amarava, you're right. Reisha v'Seifa Mekach Tois. But V'Reisha Deloyav Zuzi, where Marshall didn't pay for it yet, Lo mischaze kavodas kechavim b'yad Yisrael. It doesn't look like it's a getchka in the hand of a yid, because he didn't pay money for it. Sefer, the Yov Zuzay, where he gave money. Now really, even then it's a mekatois, because he wanted scrap, he didn't want to have crosses. But since he gave money, an onlooker will say, look, he paid for it, and now he's giving it back. Mischazei kavodas kechavim b'yad Yisrael. So Amalei Mar Kashisha Breid Rav Chistel Rav Ashi Kojma. We learned in our Mishnah, Hamoicher Yeinoi Loivi Kechavim. Marshall sells wine to a guy. Pasak actually Modad, if he made up a price, $36 a gallon, before the guy measured the wine, dam of mutar. The money is mutar. Now, v'i amrit mishicha by v'kachavim eina knuya. But if you say, now the rationale is that since they made up a price, when the guy picks it up and measures it, as soon as he picks it up, he acquires it. And then when he pours it, it's already his. So that's why it's permitted. But but if we say that the picking it up by the guy doesn't acquire the wine, then am I dumb of mutarin? So then why is the money mutter? If he doesn't acquire it until he pays for it, so when he picked it up, it still belonged to Marshall, and when he pours it, it becomes Yayin Esach, and then Marshall is taking money from my Yayin Esach. Says, well, yeah, we have to add something. We have to add lib something. It's talking about where Taka, the guy, gave him money. Says the Gemara, if the guy gave money, Ihachi Ema Seifa, Modad actually Pasak Damav, Modad actually Pasak, if the guy measured it out before Marshall made a price, Damav Asurin, the money is Asur. But if the guy already paid for it, so it's the guy's. V'ida kadam lei dinner amai Damav Asurin. Amalei, so he says, well, there's obviously a variable you're not reckoning with. According to you, that once the guy picks it up, he acquires it, amai reisha dam of mutar. Why in the reisha is the money permitted when he makes up a price? The seifa, and in the seifa dam of asurin is the money asur. I mean, he only pours it after he picked it up, and we say picking it up acquires it. Elamai Yislach Lameimer, Pasak, if Marshall made a price, once he makes a price, then Samchadate, then the guy acquires it, because he knows what he's dealing with, $36 a gallon, that's good. So then when he picks it up, he acquires it. But Loi Pasak, but if Marshall doesn't make a price, so then he's not acquiring it even when he picks it up, because he doesn't know. Marshall could ask for, Marshall, he could ask for $100 a gallon. So then, loy samchadate. So therefore, since he didn't acquire it, even though he picked it up, when he poured it, it became yayin esach in Marshall's possession. So he said, so that way we could learn also, if you hold that Mashiach is not kaina, and it's talking about where the guy gave Marshall the money ahead. L'didi nami, afal gav the kodem le'diner, even though he gave him money ahead, and money acquires, but it only acquires where Marshall made a price. Pasak samchadate, when he gave the money, he agreed to acquire it because he knew it was $36 a gallon. Loi pasak, even though he gave the money ahead, but if he didn't make a price yet. He didn't acquire it yet because he doesn't know. Maybe Marshall will give him a sugar price, $200 a gallon. So it's Marshall after all, right? So since that's the case, that it's still in Marshall's possession, and then when he pours it to measure it, he's making Marshall's wine Nesach, and then Marshall can't take money for it. Okay, we'll stop over here, Rabbi Isai. Shir Matzoi Shabbos is at 10:10, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, Shir Matzoi Shabbos is 10:10. Shir next week is 8:10, even though it really should be a little earlier, but I'm going to be up in the country for a few days, and I'm going to have to travel for a Mincha Marav, probably to Nicholsburg and Woodburn, so it's going to take me a little time to get back, so we'll still keep it at 8:10. You know, Marshall, who never misses a shir for anything and is very exacting about when we start, will be here to welcome everybody in. From now till the end of Shas, Marshall will not miss a minute because he's our monitor of time. Well, no, it's wrong. I just traveled 3.5 hours to rush to get here, and I had to set up my equipment. So it's very, very interesting comment.
What with your head, Marshall?
We all love we all love Marshall. We are now going to have. We did the Mishnah Yomis already. We're going to have now for the Shabbos table.